Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Juan Londoño and today in this beautiful sunny Atlanta, Georgia, USA, it is Friday. I hope that wherever you are, you're also as happy as I am and that you're having a great day. Today's topic is a Photo Philosophy Friday topic, so we're going to get into a quote as we many times do on this channel. And it's a quote by a photographer, and I hope I don't butcher his name, Gilles Peress. It's a French photographer, born in 1946, still alive today. As I always encourage you on this channel, when we talk about a quote from anybody really, is look them up, learn a little bit about them. Gilles Peress started, I believe, photography around the 1970s, I believe 1970, if I'm not mistaken. And he got into documentary photography. And so look him up if you're interested in this type of thing. He's been analyzing really, I guess he went into the immigration concept back then, in different countries, by the way, not just in Europe or the US, just in general. Analyzing the immigration concept and how people really abuse and treat each other unfairly. So his photography has been in museums and galleries all over the world. But Gilles Peress has a famous quote, and the quote, famous amongst photographers, right? The quote says, "I don't trust words, I trust pictures." Before we get going, you know what? I don't even have my water. I was going to tell you, grab your water. I was going to grab my bottle and take a sip, and I don't have it, so give me a second, I'll go get it. Now we're talking. Now I have my bottle. Bottle of water. So grab your favorite beverage, stay hydrated, and let's keep going. I want to break this video up into two parts, okay? And the first part is the era of film photography. And then, of course, the second part will be obvious. It's the era of digital photography. Now, focusing on number one, I wrote a couple of points here, right? Film photography, well, it was harder to doctor images. You took a picture with film. Any doctoring that you were gonna do was gonna happen on the negative, right? Like under a magnifying glass, or a composite of pictures where you would take a picture of that later. It was a lot more complicated, right? It was a little easier to detect by the naked eye, and if you grabbed a good magnifying glass, then it was even easier. Now, I will tell you, the reason we're looking at these two, right, the film and the digital era, is because we're trying to figure out first what this quote applies to. Does it apply to either one of those eras, or does it really apply to both? Or maybe we'll decide that it doesn't apply to either. That's the whole point of this video, is to take a quote like that, see how it applies to our lives, right? So for number two, the digital world, right, of photography. So it's a lot easier to doctor images. Anybody that has Photoshop knows how simple it can get. Yeah, I'm not a Photoshop person, so most of my editing is very basic. I just do whatever I need to make a picture look the way I saw it out in the field when I was shooting. And if you're doing landscapes, Lightroom might be a little easier or simple to use. But if you're doing people and you have to clear the face and pimples and hair coming out of the wrong places, then it's going to be a lot easier with Photoshop, right? And it could get complicated, but a person that does it every day and masters it, well, it becomes very simple. So, with that regard, it is a lot simpler to do with digital media. It's a lot harder for the eye to detect it. And so a simple magnifying glass might not do it. Sometimes, even with apps, right? And I'll mention one in a second here. Even with apps, it becomes very difficult to identify if any changes were done. There are some tools that people pay for, right? Photographers pay for, where they can add a digital signature to their photograph. It's not a signature you see with your eyes. It's embedded in the code, right? And once that photographer does that, there are different things they can pay for. One is, if somebody's using that image in the future, they can run it through that program and detect if that photograph had the digital signature, and they can say, you know what? Here's proof that that's my image. But another thing that you can pay for is if that program, which is out there in the web hunting, detects that one of your images is out there, it'll let you know that it's being used by somebody else, and you can see how it's being used. So there are these digital signatures, but we're talking about looking at a picture, right, that somebody publishes with your face and some other girl or guy or whatever, and making you and your family look bad. How easy is it going to be to detect that? Can you figure it out by looking at it with the naked eye? Can you pull a magnifying glass up to it and figure it out? Or can you even buy a software program that can analyze it and tell you if it's real or not? So with digital photographs, you can't be always 100% sure if the image was doctored or not. That's kind of scary, right? But there is a program called Mirage app. It's an application called Mirage. Check it out. I don't get paid by them. I haven't even tried it, to be honest with you. I was reading about all this to make the video, and I came across it, and I said, that might be interesting to check out one day and see how it works, and maybe I'll doctor a few images and it can tell me if they're fake or real, if it was authentically taken by the camera or if it's been manipulated after the fact. So those are the two areas, right? I'll go on this side for you because you're looking the other way. We have film photography starting back, in time, and then we have digital photography, very popular today. So my belief, and I need you, right, more than anything, more than liking the video down here on your left, and because it's my right, and subscribing down here on your right. If this is interesting to you, please do so. But more importantly to me is that you leave some feedback and you tell me if this is making sense, right? And this is where it matters to me, right? I believe this quote was or came about by Gilles Peress during the photography days of film. Not the photography days, we're still in the photography days, the film days, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he came out with that quote 3 weeks ago. I don't know. But I don't think so because I wrote that down over a year ago. I believe that quote pertains mostly to film photography. Let me know what you think, right? And let's get into that. This is where this video is going to get interesting. So there are two very powerful messages sent to humanity with this quote that Gilles Peress left us with. The first thing I want to cover is the difference between written communication and, say, something like photography or the arts, right? Something more visual. Many people, I want to include myself in there, but I'm just learning really. Many people spend a good part of their life learning to become very good communicators, right? Whether it's a communicator with words, writing poems or novels or essays or books or whatever, whether it's a communicator, however you do it, or a person who gets up and pushes themselves to speak in front of people and just tries to become better and better. I know people like this, right? Many people spend a good part of their life trying to become very good communicators. On the flip side, right? Let's talk about photography. Photography was not accepted as an art form for many, many years. The Europeans were not accepted, right? They had paintings and sculptures and all kinds of very complicated things. Photography came along and they said, I'm sorry, this is not art. You push a button and what? This is not art. It took many, many years of photography picking up momentum in the United States and then going to galleries and museums in the United States before the European crowd raised the brow and said, maybe there's something here we're not paying attention to, right? And all of a sudden now it's considered definitely an art form. So I want to talk about that because you see what's happening here, right? I'm coming up with a duality, and let's look further. Writers, sculptors, painters, all of these art forms existed long before photography ever came along, right? So when Gilles Peress says something like, I don't trust words, I trust a picture, or I trust a photograph, really, and I know he didn't intend it this way probably, right? He was probably coming from all of the documentaries he was filming and the atrocities that humans commit against each other. He realized, I don't trust what people say, I trust what I see, right? Basically, that's what I hope that's what he's saying, right? Let me know what you think. So when I look at this quote, right? I mean, what he's really doing is kind of like a slap in the face to writers, communicators of any type, right? Basically saying, everything that you've learned, everything that you've practiced, everything that you've become so good at doesn't mean crap to me because I don't trust it. I trust a photograph. So that's why I think that this really was meant for the film days, because now with digital photography, you can't even trust that. So you get where I'm coming from? Photography goes from being a joke in the international market to finally being accepted as an art form to what? To now being the deciding factor in an argument, or some major event where people won't trust the words that are coming out of that, but they trust the images coming out of that. That's very interesting. And that's why I wanted to bring this quote up, because there's always more to a quote than meets the eye, or meets the mind for that matter. Now, any of you that are photographers, you're going to agree with me, right? Photography is more than pushing a button. I state that the international market, or the international art market, didn't accept photography because it was pushing a button. There's a lot more to it. We know that, right? It's taken me years and years, and I'm still learning and improving. Not only was there the technical aspect of a film camera, and now the technical aspect of a digital camera, which has menu upon menu upon menu, and just options for everything. It's a computer, right, with a camera. Basically, it's not even a camera anymore. It's a computer with a camera. Just like this device is a phone with a camera. Well, the other one's a computer with a camera. And this is a computer too, by the way. So I don't even know where the lines are anymore. But my point is that there's a lot more to photography than pushing a button, right? We have to compose. We have to edit. Back there is my office, and I spend a lot of time editing. And when I say I spend a lot of time because I take a lot of pictures. I don't spend a lot of time on each picture. I make it so that my life is easy on the computer. I try to take the best picture I can so I don't have to spend a lot of time. Now, if there's an assignment where I have to stick another person in the picture, I have to change the skies, yes, then you're going to spend more time, right? And that's not really what I like to do. I like to spend more time taking pictures. There are people that are wonderful at editing. They're brilliant editors on Photoshop and Lightroom and other tools. And that's what they love to do. They'll sit there all day and edit stuff, and they even take photographs from photographers and other creators, and they'll edit them because that's their passion. There's nothing wrong with that. Personally, me, I like to spend my time behind the camera, so I try to edit as little as possible. So we have point number one out of the way. It's that, that first message that this quote gives to humanity is, words don't mean much. A picture can mean more. And like I said, it's kind of a slap in the face to writers, communicators of all type, right? So what's point number two? Let's look at point number two now. As human beings, we're wired to question everything, right? And I first wrote in my little book here, we're wired to distrust. And then I said, is it distrust or mistrust? Well, since this is a learning channel and we're all learning, guess what? Both words apply. I was sure that one of those was not right, and I was making it up. But apparently mistrust and distrust as a noun are used the same, okay? So maybe as a verb they're not, I don't know. But so we are wired, anyway, right? I digress. We're wired to really not trust or to distrust. And there's a reason for that. That's because as a survival mechanism, right, as a defense mechanism, we are wired to doubt, right? And I wrote on here, this helps us catch irregularities and inconsistencies in people's stories and intentions. Think about it, right? People will feed you anything. That whole famous quote, I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, if you believe that, right? Or if you believe that, I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. Because people will try to sell you their mother if they can, right? They can make a fast buck. Some people, anyway. That's terrible, right? But that's where we are. And this has happened from the beginning of time, right? So we're wired to question everything. We're wired to doubt, right? To look in that bush to see if that lion is hiding back there because he or she is hungry. So that's the way we're wired. But if we don't check that, because we've evolved, right? And we've evolved into complicated human beings that are highly intelligent. So it is our duty to keep ourselves in check when it comes to this mistrust, distrust, right? And we have to regulate that, right? So we have to apply it where it's necessary. We can't go around doubting everything and everyone because that's not healthy either, right? Where is your relationship going to head if you don't trust your partner? But going back to the quote, it's very clear. The quote starts by saying, I don't trust words. I mean, bingo, that's it. It's that simple. I don't trust words. I trust pictures. It's got to be terrible to go out, through life not being able to trust anybody's words because they might be lying, So I'm thinking that during the film days, if this quote came out during the film days by Gilles Peress, that everybody said, oh my gosh, thank God, there's something, I just noticed my lamp is crooked, there's something that we can trust in, right? We can trust in pictures. At least they don't lie. Or if they lie, they're easy to catch in a lie. But what happens now with digital photography? What do we use today to break an argument or to figure out if an event is true or not? And who can we trust now? This video is not meant to be doom and gloom and, the world's going to, fall apart because everybody's lying. It's really like any other Photo Philosophy Friday topic, just to put a thought in our minds so we can run with it. And, maybe when we're sitting back sipping on tea or beer or whatever we want to drink, we can think about it and say, I wonder, I wonder where this is all going, right? Where it came from and where it's all going. Obviously, we're equipped with intuition, and women have this sixth sense. If you don't believe it, just live with a woman, like I have for over 20 years. Yes, there is a truth to that sixth sense thing. It does work. So whether it does or doesn't work for some women, we definitely have intuition, we have intelligence, and we have the ability to spend time analyzing people, and that helps us decide if people are lying to us or not lying to us, right? So that we don't have to rely on photography to tell us if they're lying or not. But since this was meant to be a fun, thought-provoking video, let me know, really, this means a lot to me. Let me know in the comments what you think, right? Do you agree with any of this? Is it total nonsense? Let me know if you're concerned for humanity because of the way we're headed. Basically, we can say that this video asks a question that sometimes comes up in conversations between my friends and I, right? Are people less trustworthy today, right? Are people committing more atrocities today? Or is it that we have these devices now that make it easier for people to capture situations on the spot and then fling them out to the world immediately? So it seems like there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more, evil going on, whatever you want to call it. But really, maybe this was always around. We just had no idea it was happening, right? So at the end of the day, can photography help to kind of strain things out for us? Or now in the digital world where everything can be doctored, right? And it's even harder to tell than in the film world, does that make it even more complicated, right? I think maybe, just my 2 cents, and I want to hear yours, please. As easy as it is to take images, and people can take 20, 30 pictures of you walking down the street, sitting in a chair in a park, eating a lunch, at a park bench, whatever, right? Through your window, sitting at home. And then they can find some other, compromising situation to put you in with another person or an animal or in a place where you weren't. They can lift you off your background and put you in a place and say, what was he doing here? Or what was she doing here? I don't know. That kind of does make me think a lot, right? In the film days, it was harder to do that. And I believe this comment came from the film days, and Gilles Peress was talking about how he didn't trust words. He trusted only images or photography or pictures, as he worded it, because photography was hard to doctor, right? You can rely on a photograph and say, look, right, this is me in Paris on this day. I wasn't in New York, or vice versa, right? I was in New York. Here's the picture of me on the Empire State. Why is anybody saying that I was elsewhere, right? Now that becomes even more difficult. So what would Gilles Peress say today, right? You can't trust words, apparently, because people do lie. And you can't trust photography. So I think I just received the package. So who can you trust, really, right? Is that a concern? Let me know what you think. Once again, like, subscribe. Please share this video if you know somebody that would, get a cool kick out of listening to this. Maybe you can have a conversation with them later. If you have any feedback for me, please place it in the comments. It means a lot. And that's it for today. Photo Philosophy Friday comes to an end. It is actually Friday here. It's my lunch break, so I'm taking opportunity in doing this. I work actually in IT, and this is my lunch break, so I'm done. I am so happy that the weekend is about to start. I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, safe, healthy, happy weekend, that you make the best of it with your family and your friends. I love you guys, always. And I really, really, really appreciate your time. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao for now.